Today, artificial intelligence has taken the world by storm and has changed the way we use technology to access information. According to a report that was made by the McKinsey Institute in 2017, it was predicted that up to 375 million workers would be required to change their job in 2030 due to AI. On AI platforms like ChatGPT, we can make inquiries, and AI is able to provide automatic generated answers to our questions and synthesize complex information in the matter of seconds. And we get access to this information at any time, any place. But with the rise of AI and its increasing popularity over the years, have come many concerns among the neuroscience community with regards to AI and its correlation to the rapid decline in our cognitive capabilities. In this video, I'm going to provide key ways we can start using AI responsibly without allowing AI to control the way we think. But before I get to that, hi, I'm Lonimi Miseko, and on this channel, I make self-development content. If that sounds like something you're interested in, I hope you stick around. So point number one, don't rely on AI to critically think. Now, I don't know about you, but I miss the days when if you're researching a topic on Google, the first information you would see on your screen would be websites, peer-reviewed articles, or blogs, or information that was written by an actual human being. But it seems like the first thing that pops up when you're researching a topic is an AI-generated answer. It seems to me that everywhere you turn on the internet, there's some kind of AI assistant tool that's being recommended to you, or some AI-generated answer that you're seeing without your consent. You're just being offered information by AI. And it's decreasing over time our ability to challenge the information that AI gives us. We're just taking at face value what AI is showing us, and we're not really questioning the information. And that is why, for me, I believe that it is very important to reclaim our ability to critically think. In this video, my goal isn't to discourage you from using AI, because the data shows that AI is here to stay, right? And there's nothing we can do about it. However, I do believe that we can use it more responsibly without allowing AI to control the way we think. When we see that AI is providing us information about a topic, rather than just taking what it's saying at face value, we can challenge what it's saying. We can say, what have other sources said about this particular topic, like a peer-reviewed article or a journal magazine, or just another website, something that was written by an actual human being, or books, right? What is in this book? What is the author saying about this topic? Rather than just relying on AI, right? There's also this AI governance and ethics course that I am taking. And in this course, I am learning that when AI synthesizes a large amount of information to generate answers, it is relying on historical data. And the problem with this is that in these type of AI models, we don't really know whether the historical data that AI is relying on is factual. We don't really know whether there are any form of prejudice in this type of data. But because AI synthesizes a large amount of information online to generate answers, we just automatically assume that, okay, what it's saying must be true, so therefore I'm not going to challenge this information. And that's where I think we're losing our ability to critically think. So there was this article that was published by Forbes in 2025. And in this article, they are highlighting a research that was conducted by researchers in the University of Pennsylvania. And their report was called Generative AI Can Affect Learning. So according to this study, the researchers found out that students who had access to AI to help them during a mock test of some sort, they performed very poorly academically in these tests compared to students who did not rely on AI for any form of assistance during a mock exam or a practice test. And this is very significant because not only did they find that in their conclusion, but they also highlighted that not only is AI affecting students' ability to critically think, but it is also affecting the ability of students to problem solve. Another way I believe AI is affecting people's ability to critically think is that it is not something that is just affecting students like the generation Z or generation Alpha, right? But I do believe that AI is affecting people's ability to critically think, especially when it comes to professors or teachers. Hear me out. Because AI has become increasingly popular, with that has also generated this mistrust among professors and their students. Because AI is something that we can easily access on the internet, teachers are beginning to have this idea that, oh, like if a student has an assignment or an essay that's due, they must have used AI. They must have used it. So therefore, they will rely on AI detecting tools to determine whether a student plagiarized an essay or relied on AI to write a passage for an assignment. And because of that, they don't even want to hear what the student has to say anymore. For them, they take what the AI detector tool says like it's the holy grail. And that has generated consequences because there are actual students who don't rely on AI to write their essays. There are actual students who they want to really take the route of critical thinking to process information on their own and do independent research. But however, even if they do that, if the professor takes their essays and puts it under some AI detector tool and AI says this student plagiarized their text, then the professor would not even go ask the students anymore whether or not they actually plagiarized their text by using AI. The professor will automatically fail the student. And that's why I'm saying that critical thinking is not something that is just affecting students like the media wants you to believe, but it's also affecting adults, teachers' ability to critically think, right? And the thing is, when let's say you're a professor watching this, right? And you see that students, you gave them an assignment and, the AI detector tool is telling you that they plagiarized, rather than automatically assuming that that's what happened. And a way you can apply critical thinking is to see whether, okay, is what AI telling me, can I take it at face value? Let me interrogate the students and see whether they have evidence to support the fact that they actually did this essay, or whether they don't have evidence, right? And that's another way we can challenge what AI is telling us. It comes in different layers. I could go on and on about how AI affects our ability to critically think, and it's not something that just affects students, it's multi-layered, but that will be a topic for another day. So at this point of the video, you may be asking, okay, Lonimi, everything you're saying sounds like a fairy tale. Okay? I need to rely on ChatGPT for my work. I need to use ChatGPT for projects. I don't have time to do hour-long, lengthy research. I need information here right now quickly. To that I say, fair enough. It is true that nowadays, maybe you're watching this video, you're working full-time and you're exhausted. You don't have time to apply critical thinking when AI is giving you an information. I would like to challenge you on that. Rather than just taking what AI is telling you at face value, try to find some critical thinking analytical framework on the internet that will allow you to process or critically think the information that AI is giving you. So for example, there's this critical thinking template that I found on Pinterest, and it's super helpful. I'm going to put it right here. And in this template, it really teaches a person how to critically think information that they're consuming on the internet. In this case, we can apply it to AI. So let's say you have to use ChatGPT a lot for your work or for other projects. Rather than just taking what AI is telling you at face value, you can start by verifying the source. to determine whether the information that AI is providing to you is factual. The second thing I would recommend is it kind of circles back to what I was saying earlier about compiling or doing some independent research and compiling other resources or information that was said about this particular topic that you're researching to see what other authors have said. It could be a peer reviewed article, it could be a book, it could be a blog, right, or a website that is able to maybe corroborate the information that you're seeing on ChatGPT, or maybe challenge that information. That's another way you can do it. And by doing that, it allows you to have a holistic research, not just something that an information that you just found on AI, and it doesn't really give you the whole picture of the topic you're trying to research. And the third thing that you can do to critically challenge what AI is telling you is to determine whether there's any form of prejudice or subjectivity when AI is providing you the information. Point number two, don't rely on AI for creative ideas. And this could be a controversial take, but hear me out. To me, creativity is a gift that God bestowed on mankind. It is so fascinating that as human beings, we can tap into world of imagination to convert our creative ideas into tangible forms by writing fictional stories, painting images, producing scripts for movies or TV shows, and so much more. But when we are relying on a non-human entity like a large language model such as AI, we have lost the plot. Creativity is something that as human beings, it makes us human. It's through creativity that we're able to express our humanity. And to me, that's incredibly magical. How some of your most favorite authors or painters or movies producers or musicians, right? They were able to create art, and that has been able to mobilize millions of people around the globe. But if I told you, for example, some of your favorite authors or some of your favorite musicians or some of your favorite music producers or movie producers, right? All the products or the arts that they shared with the world was basically AI generated. How would you feel? You would feel a bit of an ick, right? Yeah, because the thing is, art, not only are we able to express our humanity through art, but we're able to connect with so many people through our art, right? And that's what makes us interconnected as a human society, as a human civilization, right? When I hear the word AI and creativity, to me, these are oxymorons. They contradict each other. They don't go together. I'll give an example. So I write books, and I've been doing that since I was 16 years old. I write online, to be specific. And I am super grateful that when I was 16, there was no such thing as AI. Okay, there was no such thing as artificial intelligence. And when I was writing my stories, I didn't need to rely on AI to create characters or fictional stories. I had to rely on my creativity, and I had to rely on personal experience to share these stories online. And these stories were able to connect with a lot of people, right? So that's the thing. If I look back and I remember writing the stories by relying on AI, this sense of pride that I have today, it would be non-existent, right? There's something about, really relying on your creativity to produce a art and sharing it with the world that is very magical. It is, to be honest, creativity is something that I find it's magical, right? So when you are relying, let's say you're relying on AI, right? To produce creative ideas, my goal isn't to judge. It's just my personal opinion, right? And at the end of the day, you can take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. You are responsible for the way you want to conduct yourself in the world and carry on. But I would heavily recommend that if, let's say, you're an artist and for you it circles back to the lack of time and you relying on AI, it's basically creates your content faster. I would say at the end, if you are an artist, right, you have this gift that was given to you, and you can tap into that gift. And no matter how sometimes you may lose inspiration, at the end, that creativity is still in you. You can tap into it. It's something that's magical. You don't need to rely on a non human entity for that. Because for centuries, some of the most beautiful art compositions, some of the most beautiful paintings, some of the most inspiring books that were ever published were created by human beings because they were able to tap into that creative flow, right? So if we've been able to do that for centuries throughout human civilization, what makes you think that you're any different? You can literally tap into that world of creativity, and you don't need AI for that. Another point I want to pin with regards to not relying on AI for creative ideas is that when I'm saying that you should tap into your creative flow if you're an artist watching this, I don't mean to not draw inspiration from other people that are artists as well. I think something that is very fascinating as well about this human civilization is that we can draw inspiration from other people to create art. That's some of the most our most favorite authors to have ever lived, or musicians, or music producers, or movie producers, or painters drew inspiration from other people to be able to create the art that we fell in love with, right? So there's nothing wrong with drawing inspiration, but I think the main point I'm trying to make in this video is to not get inspiration from AI, a non-human entity, but to get inspiration from an actual human being. So the next point is to not rely on AI to ask personal questions and treat it like a human being. I've been guilty of this once upon a time. And I get it. I know that sometimes you can go through difficult periods of your life and you feel like you can confide in family, you can confide in your friends, and it's tempting. AI is accessible 24/7. So why not ask personal questions about your life and treat it like it's your personal therapist? The problem with this is that there are huge ethical concerns that have been rising to the surface about the way in which AI processes personal data on a daily basis. Because AI has access to personal data and information through the inquiries that people make every single day, there isn't a cohesive policy regulatory framework that helps us to really understand how exactly AI is protecting our privacy and personal information. And that is what is very scary, because if we don't have a clear, cohesive framework to understand how exactly AI is protecting our information or managing our personal information, then who's to say that a data breach can happen at any time? And how would AI respond to that, right? Or AI companies respond to this to protect our information? So I'll give an example. So in the 2010s, Facebook was involved in this scandal. It was called the Facebook Cambridge Analytical scandal, wherein the personal information of 50 million Facebook users was being harvested for political advertising. And the thing is, the whistleblower that was involved in this scandal basically exposed Facebook by saying that Facebook was aware that the personal information of millions of its users were being harvested for political purposes in the US, but it didn't really alert its users and continued to engage in that and sweep it under the rug until the whistleblower said something about it in 2018. But even if that happened, I don't believe Facebook faced heavy consequences for that, right? So the thing is, if this is something that could happen to a social media platform like Facebook, how can we be sure that there isn't going to be a data breach on AI? And how exactly are headquarters of AI going to respond to that? So that is why, for me, I urge you strongly to look at AI as a technical tool. Use it for technical purposes, but don't rely on AI and treat it like it's a human being by sharing intimate details about your life to it. It's not worth the risk, right? Privacy in today's society is currency. So the final point I want to make is to not rely on AI to write constantly. I know sometimes it can be tempting to rely on AI to write emails to your boss or your coworkers or even your professors. Because we want to avoid getting misinterpreted, we use AI to help us synthesize and write concisely what we're trying to say. I've been guilty of that. But the thing about doing this is that the more we rely on AI to assist us in our technical writing journey, we are losing the art of writing concisely. So when I was an undergrad, for example, I spent years, like the goal of my professors in political science, the program I was taking as an undergrad, was that they wanted to help students learn how to write concisely. So as a result, they would put word limits and force students to learn how to write like a short report, to force students how to condense a large amount of information into a holistic short document. And this is a skill that took me years to learn. And to this day, I haven't quite mastered the skill, but it's a skill that I'm really grateful I was able to learn over time, and I'm continuing to learn because it takes a lot of dedication to condense the information you're trying to write into something that is more short and holistic, right? But when you are always relying on AI to write your emails or to a boss, or you feel like okay, you didn't synthesize your messages enough, so you're relying on AI. The thing about AI is that sometimes AI can really completely transform the sentences you wrote and change it completely. And because we are programmed to think that, oh, AI, what AI says must be the holy grail, I'm going to go with AI's version and send that to my boss when I'm writing an email. And that's where I think we should really challenge that by taking the initiative to actively learn the art of writing concisely rather than relying on AI to do it for us all the time. So if you've made it to the end of this video, I'm so glad you did. Let me know if you could resonate with some of the points I made. And if you didn't, I would like to hear your point of view. Thank you so much for watching. I am so grateful that this channel continues to grow every day. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.